Is it any sort of coincidence that K-pop Demon Hunters destroyed the box office with a 2-day release right around the same time Disney finally admits they have a problem with boys? Winter Wolf thinks not, but what do they really mean when they say that? What is their actual plan to course correct? Wardens, let's feast. Last time we talked about how K-pop Demon Hunters managed to do what Disney hasn't in years. Deliver heart, sincerity, actual heroes. And wouldn't you know it, that's right around the time the movie stormed the box office. Disney themselves admits they've got a problem. And it's a big one. K-pop Demon Hunters remains a media force of nature. The Girls of Huntrix are still killing it on Netflix, topping charts on Spotify and endearing themselves to people of every demographic imaginable. They've moved on to raking in millions of dollars in a limited box office release, while sequels, prequels, and spin-off series are all being heavily considered behind closed doors. And honestly, that comes as no surprise. K-pop Demon Hunters captured lightning in a bottle, cooked up a badass batch of the same kind of home cooking people love ordering time and time again. In short, they landed on the same formula Disney used to have the monopoly on, a kind of blueprint for animated magic that captivated kids' imaginations and parents' wallets. They gave you a trio of likable characters with memorable personalities, quirks, goals, and more importantly, some shortcomings and fears to humanize them and give them depth. They told a timeless story of legacy, duty, friendship, and purpose that perfectly balanced finding your place in the larger world. You know, typical superhero flair. But given the rampant tidal wave of success, nobody would blame you for thinking Sony and Netflix had conjured up actual magic, or maybe plotted some kind of epic Ocean's 11 style heist and stole it from the House of Mouse. Disney has tried, and mostly failed for the better part of a decade, to provide the kind of family entertainment that K-pop Demon Hunters delivers. Case in point, Elio, whatever, not the pizza. Flopped at the box office harder than my pre-Ozempic Aunt Ida did at the pool last summer. They try, constantly tripping over themselves to reinvent the wheel, angling desperately to create something for a target audience that simply doesn't exist. And in light of that failure, they strove to create one. Disney hit the lab mad scientist style, tried to Frankenstein a new audience, the vaunted modern audience, one that bought into the same progressive politics they did, one that found old stories and old heroes problematic and outdated. Time and time again, Disney jams fingers into their mouse ears and pretends it isn't true. They pretend that even though men have largely walked away from the IPs that Disney has commandeered and contaminated, we still represent the largest piece of the viewership pie. They're deaf to basic consumer feedback on top of it. We fed them a steady diet of listen. We just want something to watch with our kids, something that doesn't make us scramble for the remote to skip over something inappropriate, or queue up a sex ed lecture in the car on the way home from the theater. Period. End of story. We want something light and fun. But more than that, we want something to move us, something to inspire, something to resonate, something to share with our kids the same way our parents shared a galaxy far, far away with us. Now, it'd be ignorant and disingenuous of me to sit here and tell you Disney has it wrong top to bottom. They don't. Remakes like Lilo & Stitch in live action, last year's Moana 2, and recent sorta hits like Elementals and Inside Out 2 prove at least somebody inside the studio has a clue. But Disney needs more than the occasional hit. They need much more. Enter the recent Variety article you may have seen floating around online. Now, I won't bore you with the line-by-line read, but the author indicates that Disney has finally realized, and I'm air quoting the hell out of realized on this one, that Rome is burning around them. That they're currently scrambling to acquire new IP that appeals more to boys and young men in the coveted Gen Z demographic. Acquire, you say? Because God forbid you hacks create anything original worth a damn in-house. But here's a newsflash, you pinheads. You already had two of the largest male-focused IPs in history. And what did you do with them?
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Exactly. The galaxy brains of Disney have run so recklessly off course that they're scouring the world for new IP to drive into the ground like they're Sauron searching for the One Ring. Now, you're probably thinking, Winter Wolf, cut them some slack. They admitted they're wrong, and they're trying to right the ship, aren't they? Well, let me stop you right there. Admitting they need more male customers is nothing more than a simple observation on the part of their corporate bean counters. They're just now getting around to the part where they realize that political and cultural winds have shifted around them. People are paying more attention, hawkish style, on what their kids are watching, playing, and reading. But here's the real rub. They could deliver the type of media young boys and men in general want at any point. They simply just don't want to. Disney isn't truly ready to start cranking out traditional masculine heroes. They're not in any kind of mood to bring out modern-day animated Robin Hood or Sword in the Stone. They're not willing to adapt male comic book characters in their classic forms, and definitely not without a every character is really just a mantle to be handed down female version waiting in the wings to tell them to do better. What they're after is your money, nothing more. They don't want to change their messaging or what they're offering up. They just want you to pry your wallet back open. And what keeps them up at night is knowing that no matter how much they pumped into the social engineering, into the normalizing girl boss characters, into taking established boy brands and turning them into girl brands, is one crystal clear reality. Nobody is buying. They could turn things around on a dime by applying the same simple design philosophy that made K-pop Demon Hunters a global smash. You take one creative team's idea, you give them space to create, and understand that they had a dedicated target audience in mind, and probably one that was already going to buy the product if they were genre fans. Maggie Kang's team almost assuredly didn't write K-pop Demon Hunters considering what a bunch of 40-something Gen Xers wanted out of the story. She didn't shoehorn in a bunch of 90s Hollywood action starisms. She wasn't intending to write for us. But that didn't matter. We showed up anyway. We showed up because of the appealing, authentic creation she presented. Sure, K-pop Demon Hunters isn't for everybody, but it also didn't post a bouncer at the door with a clipboard and a guest list. The Sony and Netflix execs didn't head out on a preemptive press tour actively accusing people of being xenophobes if they didn't express total devotion to Korean media or wear t-shirts declaring anime is female. They didn't roll into their neighbor's sandbox, break all the toys, and then look shocked and angry when they got yelled at. They did their own thing. Then they invited everybody to the sandbox. They let us all hang out and have fun. And lo and behold, nobody fought. Nobody complained. Nobody left or right went on any kind of grifting warpath about intersectional feminism or fascism in the White House. We just enjoyed a movie and grew a fandom together. Disney would be wise to take a page from K-pop Demon Hunters' playbook. We're not asking them to cram gunfights and high-speed chases into Freakier Friday. We just want our heroes back. And if Disney isn't willing to deliver, we've proven we're happy to find new stories and new heroes elsewhere.